Twisted Metal Season 2 is finally out, and we are now at the chapter where they are starting the tournament, which is what all the games are about. I was so excited to see Twisted Metal finally coming to a television series. It's one of my favorite games. I actually think it is the best couch co op game that's come out in recent decades. So, in celebration of this new season, I'm actually going to highlight some of the characters that are in the show, what I think of them, and where they actually came from, and maybe some of the story from the game. So, starting off, we have John Doe and Quiet. Quiet is not in the game. This version of John Doe is going to be based on his Twisted Metal Black version. Look at it, they look just alike, right? So, this John Doe from Twisted Metal Black was actually an undercover cop. They were going to this CDC building, disease control building, and when he went into that disease control building, they were going to blow it up. And so he had to go back in the building and throw the bomb out of the building to save everyone. So it knocked him out, and that's how he became John Doe and had no idea who he was. Not many similarities of this guy compared to the Anthony Mackie character. Anthony Mackie is just a guy that lost his memory so far. So far, we know he's just a kid who lost his memory during the apocalypse, and that is it. And again, they look just alike, so they at least they got the look right. Next, we have Agent Stone. Agent Stone was only in season one. Agent Stone, once again, looks just like his character from Twisted Metal Black. He is the Agent Stone Twisted Metal Black was a guy that his wish was to rewind time when he finally got to Calypso because he was so enraged by the criminals holding hostages in this room that he kind of went crazy as a sniper and shot everybody, including the hostages. And they put him in an insane asylum. So when he rewound time, he actually ended up getting shot. And it's kind of like this little theory I have. I have a theory that that guy that shot him was actually Calypso from the game. But that Agent Stone, he passed away in season one, and that's just one version of Outlaw. The next version of Outlaw, Jamie and Carl Roberts from Twisted Metal 1, 2, and 3 and Head On, they were in season one, kind of like his lackeys. I think they played a pretty good job. They were kind of stoic, not at all like Jamie Roberts is in the game. Jamie Roberts in the game is kind of a hothead. Um, but in the game, they wish for the first one, I think he wishes to lock Calypso up. I'm not really a big fan of the first one. It wasn't really it was more realistic, I suppose, as far as the endings where they use real actors. Number two, I believe after Calypso had sent the first outlaw to space and he was surviving in space unassisted, just in his squad car for over a year, she wished to go where he was. And of course, Calypso was like, cool, I can mess up her wish. So she goes where he is in space and she uses her turbo to come back. Kind of silly, right? Next one is Mike and Stu. Mike and Stu, I'm not really going to show anything about their ending because Mike and Stu are just kind of goofballs. They're just goofballs that kind of like didn't belong really even in the tournament. And I'll just give you a poem because Mike and Stu actually wrote a poem for Twisted Metal the game. The clouds are the place we want to be, far above where we can see dot 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 down women's shirts. The end. Their wish in Twisted Metal 2 was to be able to fly. So Calypso threw them off a roof, essentially. So they flew. In the show, they are two correctional officers. Um, one of them actually ends up going with Sweet Tooth and being one of his lackeys. So they don't have that much of a story in the show. But you know what? The guy that goes with Sweet Tooth, he does end up enjoying killing after a while. Like he's looking for a place to belong. He thinks he belongs with Sweet Tooth. Next, we have Dollface. Dollface in the show is John Doe's sister. She appears in season two. Dollface in the game was actually a regular blue collar worker working for this guy that made masks and stuff. And she was cleaning up one day, spilled some coffee, and that was her ass. Because you spilled some coffee on somebody's stuff in Twisted Metal universe, you got to go. So he knocks her out and nails a doll face to her face. And they throw her in the asylum. I'm like, excuse me. Because essentially, I guess she went kind of crazy from the knockout and nailing her with the nails and whatnot, and she wished in Twisted Metal Black to take the mask off finally. Because the woman hadn't eaten in years. So she asked to take, she was gonna ask to take the mask off. Then she was like, you know what? Nah, I ain't gotta do all that because I'm probably ugly now. I haven't washed my face in years. I was gonna drive this big rig on out of here. So there's characters really differ in between the game and the show. The next person we have is Mr. Slam, Simon Whittlebone. You don't see much of him, but they have like a mobile convoy that's like always moving in Twisted Metal season one, which I thought like that was immaculate. That was so cool. That's something I could see happening in the post-apocalyptic world where cars really matter. He was a bartender in that episode that he was in. So not much going on there. The game, he was an architect, and his wish was to like build the tallest skyscraper. In the end, he actually ended up falling off the skyscraper. And he comes back as a ghost, I believe, in Twisted Metal Head On, the one that came on PlayStation. One of my favorites. Next, we have Mr. Grimm. Mr. Grimm in the show is a crazy guy who ends up making out with a girl that's never taken a shower before, and he thinks he can take people's souls, but he's just crazy, and he has a really uncanny ability to mimic people. So he'll kind of like end your life, and then for some odd reason, he's able to mimic you. Maybe they'll show later on in the show that he has some kind of powers, but so far, when they show him from other people's perspective, they're just seeing him crazy. So in the games, in the first couple games, he actually is like a specter and he actually does feed off souls. So he asks Calypso to give him more souls. In his Twist Metal Black version, he's a military guy who was stuck in he was a POW actually, and he had to eat one of his friends. So I didn't want to show that. That's a little graphic, but that whole game is kind of graphic. And is Raven, who operates the shadow vehicle. In this show, she actually give Raven the spotlight. Like she was just I guess you would call her a Wiccan goth emo girl who does the tarot cards and stuff. She went into a frat house with her friend, and her friend ended up drowning. And then she, of course, she wants revenge, ended up moving high up on the insiders list behind the walls. And now she wanted to send John in there to get her wish to bring her friend back. But she's just gonna do it herself now. She signed up for herself. But Raven's story in the game is kind of similar. Like it was two goth girls, they had the tarot cards and whatnot, and some jocks kind of bullied them and pushed one of them into the pool, and her friend couldn't swim. So she wanted to bring her friend back to life at the end, but then she said, wait a minute, I don't have to do that. And Calypso, being the evil guy he is, he's like, man, just take these voodoo dolls and just kill him. So she did that instead of bring her friend back because once again, she's kind of crazy. After that, we have the preacher. So the preacher in this show is was a real preacher. Like he had his faith after the apocalypse, he lost his faith. And so when he lost his faith, then he started doing all kind of crazy shit and having like a cult. They even have something called the Rocky Mountain Fuck Fest pilgrimage to Colorado. So once John and them get there and they have a duel and whatnot, before he dies, he even wants to fuck Evelyn. Evelyn is John's car. And he ends up dying. In season 2, he's reincarnated as a baby. We don't gotta talk about that. It's Twisted Metal. He's reincarnated as a baby, and the baby even talks shit, and he just has 2 million minions drive his car. And he's completely different than who he was in the game. The preacher in Twisted Metal, he was actually trying to stop Sweet Tooth and stop Calypso because he thinks that they're demons, they're evil. That was like his secondary story. Even in the Twisted Metal 2012, that was like his secondary story. Calypso locked him up because he knew the truth. Like Calypso was like a demon or took the powers of a demon, which kind of goes back to Twisted Metal 1 when this all started. Calypso did have demons in his camp. There's 2 more left, and these 2 are probably my favorite stories of Twisted Metal. Number 1 being Axel, and Axel in this show is hilarious. I'm pretty sure this dude's doing most of his lines through ad libs. In the show, I don't know anything about his story just yet. He's not actually fixed in his vehicle like he was in some of the earlier Twisted Metal games. He can leave the vehicle whenever he wants to, and he has these big iron hands and iron arms, and he's big as fuck. So he just kind of talking shit in the show. We don't know his story yet. He actually makes a couple lines when people ask him what he wants, and he's like, "Nah, I'm not gonna tell you. Fuck off." At one point, I think Raven asked him, "What's your wish?" He says, "Bitch, get out my face." Like, I love Axel in the show. In Twisted Metal 2, Axel was made to be in that two-wheel machine, and in that two-wheel machine by his father. His father was a jerk. He was abusive. And at the end of the game, he actually wanted to meet his father and stand up to him. He stood up to him by ripping his arms out of the vehicle. He didn't bleed out, but there's better ways to do that. But once again, Twisted Metal, everybody's a little crazy. We're not gonna talk about his Twisted Metal 3 ending where he got turned into a clock. Because I mean, come on, y'all, why you do him like that? Twisted Metal Black, he also had a somewhat decent ending, like because he was a decent person. He was the only person in the game of Twisted Metal Black that I can remember that was not completely fucking insane. His wife got killed by Sweet Tooth, and so Sweet Tooth actually killed his wife and then mailed her body parts back to his house. That is ridiculous. That's some Sweet Tooth stuff. But Axel, the end of Twisted Metal Black, actually kills Sweet Tooth, and that was the end of his story. Decent story. They tell every match you have, he'll have some dialogue and tell you more about him and his wife. But here's how I play Axel. Wind it up. You don't have to shoot anything with Axel if you don't want to, besides a freeze missile, and you just run it up. Just run up on him, and it's over. Of course, we have Sweet Tooth. Can't forget about him. He is similar to his Twisted Metal Black version as far as the murderous intent, right? He doesn't have the curse like in Black. He had the curse where his hair was on fire completely, like he is on the cover of every game. In Black, he kind of just wanted to kill people, and he ended up in the whole game at the end of it killing Calypso. It's very vastly different from his characters before then, because Twisted Metal 1, he just wanted to find his friend Harold, which we see in the show, the paper bag. Twisted Metal 2, he has to be transformed into a bug so he could frolic in the grass and kill other insects. 3, he just wanted candy, which I think is ridiculous. 4, he took over Twisted Metal, which was cool as fuck. And as I already said, Black, he's kind of just like a ruthless serial killer. Like, even though he looks a little bit bigger, he's like all muscle. I think Samoa Joe does a great job. He's not the voice, but he does a great job with his mannerisms in this show. And I'm not even a Sweet Tooth fan, but he does very, very well. And my favorite character that they have brought in this show from the game, Billy Ray. What y'all know about Billy Ray? Billy Ray Stillwell wasn't playing with y'all. Billy Ray Stillwell. Sink that in, just the name. So he showed up in Twisted Metal Black. In Twisted Metal Black, he was just a farmer. He was a farmer with a wife, a regular old guy. Didn't start off crazy. His wife was cheating on him. So a plane flew low over top of him when he was in his cornfield, crop dusted his ass, turned him ugly. Not really zombie, but he looked like a zombie-like character, like from one of them characters from Fallout. Goes back home, sees his wife cheating. Oh, he hits her with the hoe. He hoes the hoe up. And then his wish is to find the guy that actually had diddled his wife. And he does. He finds him, gets rid of him, and then he becomes a killer too. In the show, Billy Ray still has that nice little spiked ball that he uses, but he doesn't actually do anything. They kind of get rid of him very fast, so that kind of got on my nerves. Who's my favorite character to use in the game besides Thumper, and they won't bring Thumper on the damn show. They won't bring any West Coast dude on the show. But that's all right. So that's all I have for today. That's all the characters that I actually really care about. Those are the characters that really excited me when I saw them appear in the show. Because, like I said, they don't always say their first and last name or the name of their car. Sometimes you just have to guess. And if you played the games, you're a diehard fan like me at Flyknit, then you would know. Flyknit's such a diehard fan. He would drive all the way 2 hours from his house. His mama drop him off. First thing he say is, Scotty, where's that mass destruction at? And I'm like, what's she talking about? He's like, mass destruction. Twisted Metal. You know what I came over here. Put in 2, 3, 4 in black. Let's go. Put in a row. We played for like 12 hours straight. I forgot who used to play. I think he used to play Roadkill for no reason. No reason. That boomerang shot was nothing. But that's all I got for today. I am Scotty. Follow Minor League Films on everything. I appreciate you guys leaving all the comments you have on the alien videos. Flyknit has a whole bunch of theories. He's really, really excited to do those theory videos. So stay tuned for more. Catch y'all next time.